And hello, everybody. Scotty be along in a minute. He had to run one of those husband errands that sometimes you got to run. And so as soon as he's done, he's going to jump in and we'll get it going. I figured that I would go ahead and, get things fired up since we promised you 8 o'clock to get these things going. So here I am. So if you guys want a free form chat or whatever, we can do it. You know what? Scotty's here even quicker than I thought. My man Scotty's already there. I told
wait for me.
I told everybody you got caught up having to do one of those husband errands. I'm impressed by how quick you got back. I literally just started a minute ago because we didn't want to make people wait too long, and that was the fastest run ever. You must have that run down.
Well, let me just tell you, I want to be real honest with you, Andy. We like to have, kill you with the truth kind of podcast, right? So the warden's sitting there helping Junior Warden with a little math stuff, and they're doing that. And one of those semi-emergency things when we're down to one or two left, I need a tampon run.
Yeah.
So the only thing good about, not hiring people to bag your groceries anymore is that now you get to go. Yeah. Now I just got hit for saying that. Now you can self-check out and boom, 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 boom. And I had to get tampons and Diet Coke Zero. Boom, boom, boom. Walked in, the Coke Zero's right there in the front. Right now you buy 2 cases, you get 2 free. Got those in, bing, bing, boom. Went straight to the aisle. Found the big super giant absorbent ones that we needed, I'm getting yelled at. Okay. Yeah, okay. And then put them in, went to the self-checkout. I am golden. Good And it's quick. And I got the 4 cases of pops. So I'm going to keep it in the, just check it in, boom, put it in the, bing, boom, pan, put it right in the cart. And I'm going to bug it out to the truck, boom, get ready to go. Paid, did all my stuff, got my King Super card in, head down. I'm probably 10 feet, 12 feet from the thing. Sir, excuse me, did you forget these? And they're sitting. I thought I got the clean. I thought I got the clean getaway. Instead, I have called. The she's going, sir. The 2 or 3 other people are checking out. Turn around, looking. And I went, oh, yeah. I go, I went, only reason I came. Boom, boom, went over, got the 2 boxes of tampons, put them over there. Some lady wheeled by me. I did, you're a good husband. I got that from one of the ladies. And then there was a guy, I don't know if he was with her, but he was going by at the same time. He just gave me one of these. So, yeah, it was quick. But I almost walked out without the boxes of what I came for. And
the point of the trip.
And then, and the point of the trip. And I thought I had a clean getaway, and forgot I'm sitting there right down there. Because you don't put them in plastic bags anymore. You sit them. Yeah. So anyway, that's, but it only literally took 7 minutes, 10 minutes.
If that. You had told me, you're like, I got to make a run. And I'm like, oh, all right, I'll just jump on anyway. I had to go up and, make sure the dogs weren't doing anything. But you want to know my story that's kind of like that? Because we've all got the tampon story. And half the time I sit there, what I hate is my daughter's smart. She finally just sends me a picture so that I know exactly what I'm looking. Because, who knew there were so many options? You know what I'm saying?
No,
like, you got to be kidding me with this. I don't know what any of this is. So my daughter just, in the rare event I have to handle it, she just started sending me a picture of the exact box so I can locate it. The one thing I had like that where I got sir. What's that?
Mine are orange, Now, the funny thing is I went down because, they don't have on the big sign, guys, big sign, which aisle to go down to. And this isn't a regular buy for me, by the way, at the grocery store. So I look at the sign, thinking it'll take me. The word tampon is not on the big sign.
No.
But I found out later.
Something like that.
As I went down one aisle, I went down the tissue aisle because I'm thinking, same thing, right? I mean,
not really.
Remember when you played sports in high school? If you got a bloody nose, they cut
They'd shove one up there. Yeah.
So I'm thinking
they stop nosebleeds.
It wasn't. Took a left, and then I saw the big holy grail of signs, feminine product.
There it is.
Yeah.
Well, I one time was at Target buying a little of the old wrappers, if you will, for your business, right? Because the junior warden's there. And I left the receipt, and she again, I've already gone through the awkward of, there they go, the Trojan box just passes by, and you're just trying to be like, thank you.
Yeah,
And it's always
self-checkout.
Well, no, this was long ago. There was no self-checkout. You had, I think you said that. So she stops me. She goes, sir, your receipt. Don't you want your receipt? And I turn around and I half look back at her. I go, well, if they don't work, I'm not bringing them back. I can tell you that. I just turned and kept going, and I could hear her laugh, and she was howling. She was howling as I headed out the door. So anyway.
These are one of these non-returnable items.
Yeah, this is one where it's mine now.
One time,
you got 2 boxes?
I got 2 boxes. Well, that's another thing. Listen, we'll just talk about what guys do.
You don't need to make this errand again, right? You're trying to solve it for quite a bit.
Hey, why buy 1 box if you can get 2? So I got 2 boxes. I mean, one time years ago, I got sent there, same mission, but I didn't get specifics. So now I'm thinking, are they sized? I mean, your Trojan box, their sizes. I'm like, so I end up getting I got 3 boxes, one of each different kind to see if I finally hit on one of them.
Yeah. That's why, again, I don't know. I don't understand all the descriptors. So that's why they just send me the picture. Hey, that's a nice, fun way to open this sucker up. All right. You know what? Who's not bleeding is the Broncos. So
come on, man.
the Broncos seem to be doing okay. The team that needs to make a run to the store is the Raiders. Now I've said this, okay? I said this to Nate today because we had on one of Nate's buddies from Vegas, and the guy's talking to us, and he's going over a laundry list of the last 8-9 years, one drama after another. The Raiders can't act like a normal team. And then I pointed out to Nate, you do realize that 2 interim coaches in this time have beaten the Broncos. Matter of fact, I want to remind everybody about the week that Rich Bisaccia took over. Remember Rich Bisaccia,
right.
their special teams coach?
Everybody the Raiders thought they made a mistake not hiring him, and they hired Josh McDaniels.
Right, but the Raiders are rolling with Gruden. There's no that they're rolling. They're not going to fire him. Starts out Tuesday, something comes up about these emails. Gruden Wednesday addresses it. I'm sorry, whatever. Just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Boom, they're without a coach like Thursday. And all of a sudden, Rich Bisaccia is going to coach him all of a sudden. What? Excuse me? I'm sitting there going, well, that's a win. That's a win. That wasn't a win. They went in there and found a way to lose to him.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
Listen,
so
any sport, you don't want to play a team when a coach, and especially it seemed like the Raiders liked him. Yeah, that was going to be a tough week.
See, to me, we can all worry about Devontae Adams, whatever. I mean, Patrick Surtain's been so on his game, he's taking the top receiver down anyway. To me,
I like what you said about their quarterback. It ain't like their quarterback ain't come in with other teams and won games here either.
Right. Well, Minshew loves playing the Broncos, but you know who else does? Max Crosby. Man, if Matt, I said it to Nate end of the show. Tell me you don't like, because I know you know his game. Nate's great and has watched some football, but this guy was a terror for the Raiders, and I was growing up, and you probably already know who I'm talking about. Max Crosby is their modern era Howie Long. He is Howie Long all over again. He just wrecks everything you're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah, they never could get a handle on Howie. Of course, listen, he's got a gold jacket too.
Right now, a lot of people couldn't get a handle on Howie.
Yeah, a lot of people couldn't get a handle on him. Well, hey, let's be honest. Max Crosby's probably going to have a gold jacket someday too.
He's on his way. And let me ask you, because let me ask you about this. Now, basketball and football are really different, but I would say Max knows he's got great stats against the Broncos. He loves to play against them, right? He's always having great days against the Broncos. When you're a player, are you aware of that stuff? Like we were talking about the whole thing All right, because that's what Sanford said. In the middle of me and Nate talking about Jared Goff had said, yeah, I didn't even really know that I didn't have any incompletions. And immediately Sanford texts me, he goes, he's lying. He's covering for his coach, because that's when and I love Dan Campbell, and I understand why Dan Campbell's maybe not paying attention to every single completion, that Jared Goff has. But, and it was a funny story about the game ball, and Campbell goes in there. He's like, I'm sorry, I gave it to the wrong guy. And I love how he just admits it to all of us. As a player when you got a night like that going, or do you know as a player when you're really good against the team?
You could feel that you got a night going like that. I will say this: when you like to play against a team, you're aware that team's coming up, and you're looking forward. There were certain gyms that you played in, you just loved to play in those gyms, and so you knew those nights were always going to be big. And then, conversely, the yin and the yang. There was places you always struggled in. I had a guy that I played in Atlanta with, Randy Whitman, who was a great shooter, won a national championship with Indiana in '81. Was a great, back when mid-range mattered, was a great mid-range jump shooter. Couldn't shoot the ball in where the Wizards at the time played, or I guess it was the Bullets. Washington Bullets. But in their old dark arena, he could come into the game shooting 80% for a week, go out of that game shooting 80% for the next week, and he was going to go about 3 for 12. And there was something that psyched him out about that gymnasium. But you may not know the particulars, and listen, he made a completion. I watched some of his highlights. He made a completion basically about getting wrapped up and sacked, and I have no idea. I'm not sure how he got it out. Ends up making a completion about 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. The guy picked up a first down. So he was having one of those nights. I had one of those nights. I felt like I was getting every rebound, and you don't know the numbers, but then all of a sudden you get the stat sheet and in 9, you go, damn, Scott Hastings, bench dude just had 17 rebounds. Man, I felt like I was getting every rebound. So, when you're rolling, you may not know the particulars 100%, but when you're rolling.
Yeah, I think, it was so funny because I asked Mike about, obviously Sean Payton owning Todd Bowles a couple weeks ago. And I go, that number's crazy. 7-0, 3 different quarterbacks, blah, blah, blah. And Mike Mike was like, oh, they were defensive coordinators. I knew I had, no matter what they did to me, I knew I had them all day. I love facing their scheme. I can't remember who he said his was that he loved seeing, but he goes, then there'd be other guys where I had no idea what my quarterback was looking at because I could not figure out what they were doing. And he goes, so, to your point, the yin and the yang and all that kind of stuff.
Well, let's go way back for Broncos lore and go the Mike Shanahan era. Do you honestly think anybody with the Raiders ever wanted to play Mike Shanahan?
No, because he took it personally. Mike Shanahan had a great record against forever. It kind of changed a little bit towards the end. He was great against Bill Belichick. His system was great against Bill Belichick forever against the Patriots.
Well, did you happen to see Bill Belichick was on ESPN this past week or so, and he was breaking something down, and he was doing it for, talking about 2 or 3 of the Shanahan tree guys. I mean, he mentioned 2 or 3 guys, showed the pictures.
He started it with Kubiak, and it ended with what Clint's doing in Minnesota.
Yeah, but he started going, and he said in that run game, and he starts breaking down that run game. So you're exactly right. I didn't Elway go undefeated? Now, I know he had a lot of Dan Reeves in that too, but didn't Elway go undefeated against New England?
I believe he did, and you're right. They, look, the Patriots, they had like a nice Super Bowl year in '85, and then the Bears stomped them. But the Patriots were kind of bad for a long time, and then Parcells started the turnaround. Then he goes to the Jets, and so Belichick goes back, and then he obviously got the turnaround going in full. So, but look, what was funny was to the yin and the yang to keep that theme going. The Broncos were terrible against the Baltimore 3-4 def. Like, for whatever reason, and I never really, we ought to ask Stink or Tommy Nalen or someone one day, like, they really struggled with big nose tackles in a 3-4 look. They were really good against 4-3 looks. So, anyway.
Well, maybe try to figure out who you've got to block in each play, and where 4-3, the guys are right there up in front of you.
Right. Well, and Sam Adams as a nose tackle was an all-day sucker. Jamal Williams as a nose tackle. I've heard stories. Our buddy Nick Mangold told me one time he hated Bronco week with the Chargers. He was the center for, or not Nick Mangold, Nick Hardwick for the Chargers. He was the center for Phillip Rivers, and I love talking to Nick. But Nick told me, he said, dude, the week we'd play the Broncos, Jamal Williams would show up with no tape on anything because he was getting ready. He just abused Nick all week, getting ready for war with Tommy Nalen. And Doc and Stink have told me. I remember I was sitting at dinner one night at Super Bowl, the Raider Bucks Super Bowl in San Diego. I don't remember the number, but we were out there covering it for 760, and I was sitting with Habib, Doc, and Stink, Dave Diaz-Infante, and Mark Schlereth. Doc and Stink. They were doing the show. We were all doing the show, and we were out with Brian Habib at a little Mexican, restaurant in San Diego, a little taqueria, and they were all telling me about how Tommy Nalen and Jamal Williams had something personal. Like, that was, you want to talk about two guys that had the legit sports hate and were actually in hand-to-hand combat. Like, we make so much about certain rivalries. Those dudes were arm wrestling every play. I don't know what it was. I thought it was kind of funny when Jamal Williams spent the 1 year at the Broncos that he would end up here. But they said, I've now heard it from teammates of both guys, that it was not fun to be around either dude when they were preparing for their weeks against each other. Did you have a guy like that? I don't know if did you have a guy that, Jeb Putzier used to talk about, I can't remember the cat's name. Oh, it was Igor Olshansky, who used to play for the Chargers too, oddly enough. He just hated that guy. There's some guy from the Chiefs too. He just really, really hated. And they saw in each other in a weight room, and Jeb was like, I can't go. We're going to fight. Did you have anybody that was like legitimate hate playing against him? Even going back to college, because I know you'll tell me maybe it wasn't regular enough in the NBA or whatever, but
I didn't really hate anybody I played against. I didn't have a lot of respect for Mel Turpin. And so whenever I'd try to go up against Mel Turpin, I'd try to light him up. I didn't play tons against Christian Laettner, but I got him, and I thought he was a spoiled kid that everybody, gave too much stuff to. So the first time I played Christian Laettner, in fact, I got one of the greatest compliments as a player. We're getting beat in Minnesota, and Laettner's lighting us up, and Dan Issel's the coach, finally puts me in. And I go up there and I light Christian Laettner up, and he didn't do anything the rest of the game. I mean, I'm like, he's like bubble gum, and his flavor's Dentyne. I was chewing on him the whole night. In fact, it probably played the most minutes I played up to that time the entire season. And we ended up winning the game. We came down from like 15 down, and he didn't do anything. And I mean, I can honestly say that's the one guy I lit up, and I had an issue with just because I thought he was, everybody was pampering him and putting him on this and that and all that stuff. But I remember Dan Issel, I was sitting behind Brian Stith and LaFonso. They're sitting in the row in front of him. We're flying home. And I had my Walkman on. I'm trying to put a trying to put a disc in so I can hear everything. Dan comes up to the two rookies, points over at me and says, you guys need to listen to whatever he tells you. And I was like, you know what? That's honestly, Dan, and I heard him on your show yesterday or today or yesterday, and he busts my balls as well as anybody. But that was one of the greatest compliments I've ever got. And it was right after that that Minnesota game because I lit Christian Laettner up.
Well, and it was, it was funny you bring up Laettner. He just looked like a character off 90210. I think a lot of us did not care for him, especially if you did not come from a 90210 neighborhood. How about I put it that way?
Exactly. Listen, yeah, I was on that other side of that track, but when I grew up, and plus came back from Detroit. You got a big name, and listen, I missed this a little bit about sports. I think the WNBA tried to do that with Caitlin Clark, but they didn't do it well, and they made it seem too much whatever. But dude, we used to light rookies up. The one thing in my era of basketball, and I think it was the same way. Go ask John Elway about his rookie year. Go ask Peyton Manning about his rookie year. If you got too much pub coming into the league, go back and look at Lonzo Ball's rookie year after all the pub his dad gave him. Dudes tried to light you up. And I don't know if they do that anymore. I don't know if they do that like they used to do. Go back, seriously. John Elway, dudes used to, how about Bosworth? Bosworth was trying to plant him every time they
Well,
played.
remember, John was ahead of Boz. Boz was the rookie as John was about 5 years in. But to your point, Boz was acting like he was something in every stuttered
Everybody tried to
and
line him up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You going to touch our guy? There's a guy named Mark Cooper. I just remember his name was Mark Cooper. Mark Cooper chased Boz out of bounds into the bench and still punked him. I mean, you ain't talking about my guy. Who you think you are? And again, I think also going back to in the day, the offensive linemen were a little bit like seeing lacrosse. We got a rule. Goalie gets hurt and you let it happen, you're playing goal. So you better protect your boy. Dude, you're going to hurt. You're going to hurt my quarterback? You ain't going to hurt my quarterback. That's my living. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm gonna show you things. You think you're going to hurt my quarter? You're going to run your mouth like this with your 3 colors hair? They were not having none of that. Billy Bryant, Dave Studdard, Keith Bishop. No. Hell no. Ken Lanier? You ain't going to talk about my guy. I do miss a little of that kind of camaraderie. That's what I like about Bulls, man. I'm hard on Bulls, but I do like how Garrett kind of takes a little of the, you ain't touching my dude now.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. Listen, and we've seen how many guys. That was another thing that offensive line had. If they thought you came in late on Elway or came in late on Terrell or whatever, you had 2 or 3 dudes who were knocking you, crazy, something in the dirt, right? I saw a video today you'd love. I actually loved it, and I don't care what other people think. But it was like a little kid soccer, and it was like a little girl soccer, and these kids are probably 9 or 10. And so this girl from this one team, a little bit bigger looked like, but she comes over, and she hip check blasts this girl off the ball. Well, I don't know if it was her friend or her sister came over and from the side and kind of behind lit this girl up, and I went, keep track of her. Keep track of her. She's either going to be in prison or a president. One of the two.
Yeah, but there used to be, like, the first thing I was taught playing lacrosse back, you take care of each other. We got to take care of each other out here. We ain't letting because if you let one guy have a cheap shot on one of your dudes, guess what? Other guys are going to join in. So, and again, it was a bit of a different time, and you and I are old men. But if you're going to hit one of my guys late, we ain't letting that. I'll come in late. That's fine. We all got time. Hey, I'm around that pile too. Whatever you want to do. But you can't, But look, it's a lesson for life. My dad once told me that if you're going to let them punch you all the time and never punch back, guess what? They're never going to quit punching you. Period. At some point, you better show I'm not having this today. Even if you don't win, at least if you show them we ain't having this today, you know what I mean? Someone out, they're going to go. The boys will go try to find somebody that is having it today. Is all that I would say. Our buddy
Ryan Harris once said on our show that some days you just got to take an ass whooping.
Yeah,
you got to stand up for yourself, and there might be an ass whooping, but sometimes you got to take that. Speaking of which, I want to get back a little bit to football. I got to ask you this question, and we had Leggy on today. And I heard you touching on it, and I think you feel the same way Leggy was, and I kind of feel the same way both of you do. Listen, this team had the Denver Broncos, there's no expectations. You said it 1,000 times on your show. Be competitive. Well, 10-9 is an ugly-ass game, but you know what it is? Pretty competitive. I mean, it was a competitive, right? You win a game in a season when there's no expectations, and you win 2 preseason playoff expected teams on the road. First game, nice. Second game, ugly. You win it. And the head coach comes out and is grumpy in the press conference. And I'm like, dude, you guys just stole one. I've never in my life seen a coach, unless it's about him, and I know I'm probably banging that drum too much, but I've never seen a coach get a win. And that's, you know what, Andy? If Tampa Bay was a big win, I think this one was bigger.
I agree. I agree.
I think these are back-to-back big wins, to be honest with you.
Here's how I'll frame it, because
press conference.
I think you like Tampa Bay and Baker maybe a little bit more than I do. I don't totally take Tampa serious. Like, I think they're a good playoff team. I really do. But they also looked to me like a couple Sundays ago, a playoff team that didn't take you seriously. I'm just going to be honest about it, right?
Well, but
they came out a little bit sloppy and didn't think you were much.
But not to slight the defense, because look what Tampa did the week before they played.
I know, you're right.
After. They put some points on there, and Baker Mayfield got sacked 7 times, didn't he, or something like that?
Yeah,
I mean,
he did.
He was on the turf.
Yeah, it's yes, yeah, but here's my point. So the Tampa Bay win was nice. I kept telling you. I even asked you last week when I talked about it. I knew a surprise win would happen, because that's what this Bronco team has consistently given us over 8 years. A couple wins a year we don't expect at a time we don't expect.
Buffalo last year,
Buffalo and KC were the double up last year, right? Although I think you and I felt like they were close to getting a KC one, but still, you never knew. What you did the other day, you confused Aaron Rodgers. Okay. Nate did a good job watching the video, broke it down. You realize that Rodgers called out the wrong protection on the PJ Lock blitz. He called the wrong protection, which is why Breece Hall thought he had Barton coming up the middle, and Cody Barton he thought was coming. Barton drops back in his zone blitz. Lock comes off the edge again, and at this point, Breece Hall's just listening to Aaron Rodgers, because he's already jumped off a couple times and gotten the incredible Hulk stare from Rodgers in crazy green eyes of his. And so they had him confused, and look, I said this and I'll say it again. The weather affected Bo Nix. The Broncos defense affected Aaron Rodgers. Okay. He was getting hit. He didn't know what he was looking at. You had him confused. The team's a little out of sorts. Yeah. There are a couple throws that got away from him because of the rain, and he didn't like it on his hand, but he didn't spend the whole first quarter throwing a visible fit for everybody to see my hands or what. It's screwing me up. I didn't like that from Nix. Don't do that next time.
Yeah, a little cutlerish.
Well, yeah, again, we all get it, dude. We're expecting you to struggle, but don't make it, when you make a deal out of it now, and then what I couldn't understand, if he's making a deal out of it, then Sean, why the hell you keep calling plays? Why are you calling so many pass plays? I had Nate look up the stats today. What was the big Jared Goff stat we were all psyched about? What was that stat? Do you know?
18 of 18.
Say it again. 18 of what?
18.
How many pass attempts?
18 of 18.
Okay, in the crappy rain, the Broncos threw 25 times. 2 weeks ago, they're throwing 35 times, 40 times. What are you doing? The Chargers with a franchise quarterback that gets paid a ton of money. Jim Harbaugh had him throw 20 times against Carolina a couple weeks ago. I looked it up. So, Sean, quit asking the guy to throw all the damn time. How have you not figured out this is not Drew Brees where you're going to have 50 pass attempts a game? This ain't that team, homeboy. You can tell every damn broadcast crew that rolls through town that he's like Drew Brees. You don't have the team. You don't have the skill position players. You can't do 50 throws a game. You don't have a special tight end. You don't really have, like, Cortland's good. Cortland made a hell of a play to make sure he got his first touchdown. Cortland ain't Justin Jefferson. Cortland ain't Jamar Chase. I mean, come on, man. And look, you and I both know. Sean got pissy in the presser. He did it again today. He asked about what's the defense improving. He goes, he had to throw it in there. Well, I think we're both running the ball and stopping the run better. Really? Get out of here, man. Your run game's been fine. You got enough to make it fine. You can't handle the fact that you're not the reason for the turnaround right now.
Well, it's funny you said that, and I had it still open from my morning reading, Reverend Scott, when I was doing my morning reading. Let me just read this one little line for you that I read today and see if this equates at all to our buddy here. Do nothing from selfishness or empty conceit, but with humility consider one another as more important than yourselves.
Well, that ain't going on over there in the head coach's chair.
that's the opposite, really, of what Sean is. Sean should be right now promoting the hell out of Vance Joseph on all the coverages.
Yeah,
he ought to own. Listen. The rain bothered us a little bit too much. That's a good defensive unit in New York. Bo was a little bit off, but I'm going to tell you what, that defense kept us in the game. We had one really good drive, which they did, and we scored a touchdown, and it was the only touchdown of the game. And guess what? Touchdowns are going to be 7 points. Field goals are going to be 3. That's 4 points extra right there. And to me, even Mike Shanahan. Listen, that was Mike Shanahan's offense. But if the offense looked bad, he would still given the defense and the special teams shout outs. And for some reason, it's beyond and above and around or whatever. This guy can't do it because I would have come in and said, first of all, let me just say this. What the defensive side of the football did and Vance Joseph getting these guys ready, all the coaches over there, they all need a game ball because they were absolutely fantastic on a tough day for offense. The defense won us this game, helped win us this game today for sure. So, man, my hat's off to Vance and all those guys over there. That's how you start the press conference. Listen, Bo didn't look good. He's minus yards passing in the first half. I mean, it's not good. I can't remember the stat exactly, but all 7 of his completions in the first half were at the line of scrimmage or negative.
Yep.
People ask, well, how's he get minus 7 yards? Because he's throwing 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage and they're making tackles in the open field. That's why.
On a wet field.
11, 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13 on a completion. On a completion, you're 2nd and 13. And that's all the time.
Yeah, man. It's
listen, almost a year ago, this town was calling for Vance Joseph to get fired.
Yeah. No, it was a year and a week ago because that's when the 70 points happened. Tampa Bay Sunday was the anniversary of the 70-point game.
So you're right at that anniversary. And your defense allows Aaron Rodgers, a future Hall of Famer, a 3 times MVP, a Super Bowl champ quarterback to 9 points.
Yeah.
And praise the defense.
Hey, not only that, Riley Moss does the smart thing, who's balling his ass off, gets a PI in the end zone. They put him at the 1, still don't score a touchdown. Still don't go score a touchdown. I mean, Sean, I don't know, man. The Sean Payton experience right now, it's not my thing. It just, I hope it turns around. I hope it gets going better. You know, what's that?
I'm not cheering against it.
No, I'm not cheering against it, but dude, I do want to see some. You were brought here to give us some offense, and look, I like wins. I like wins, right? We like wins. It all makes it easier to talk about the game that week. But I at some point, come on, man. And did Leggy tell you guys what he told us? He goes, we're overdoing a little bit of what the rain was. Yes, it was a rainy day, but he said it wasn't monsoon season out there. Let's just calm down, okay? Let's just calm down. And again, this is all born because you had to go giving us hot takes like a media personality over how good your guy is going to be. Don't do it. Quit doing it. Quit telling every freaking broadcast that he's like Drew Brees. It's not fair to Bo. Lay off it. I'm glad they had the quote that Bo finally said, yeah, I'm not Drew Brees. I'm going to do it a little bit different. Damn right, Bo. Quit putting that on me, man. Quit putting that on me.
Well, I told you last week on this show that the last coach that did that, and I thought it was a huge mistake, was when Mike compared Brian Greasy to
Joe Montana,
San Francisco, right?
Yep.
Can't do that.
No. All right, real quick, because we're trying to keep these to a certain time limit. Your memories, we'll have to talk about Russ and the Nuggets, and it looks like a great marriage right now. But I'd rather, in the few minutes we have left, and we'll have to talk Buffs at some point too. I agree with you guys. Best coached game of Prime's career this past weekend. So tip of the cap to Coach Prime. The branded Bills cap, Marie's asking, and I think they found it, but it's branded Bills. They got a Halloween, I got a Ghost one, they got a Reaper one. Fun colors. Love these hats. It's a nice hat. That's where you get it.
This week.
What's that?
We were going to go fancy hats, and I forgot mine again.
Oh, yeah. Well, mine's right over there. Just real quick, Dikembe Mutombo, can you just share some memories? I had said I thought you were in the city. I thought the Dikembe, LaFonso combo, Stith, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, man, those are just some fun fun Nugget teams that I felt. I don't care they didn't win a championship. Special place in my heart after a couple of just weird years. Just your memories of playing with the man and who he was.
Well,
If
listen,
you're comfortable, I don't want to. I don't want to. You know.
I listen, we're taping a show with Altitude tomorrow, a special about Dikembe. We're gonna have LaFonzo's on, Robert Pack, Dan Issel, and I know Issel was on with you guys. I was the only guy. Here's my claim to fame that got to call him Rook. That was my Rook. I saw him in London. Remember when Denver played in
Yeah.
London a few years ago? He was there with the NBA and, introduced him to the warden. Hey, come here, I want you to meet my Rook. And we're both grown ass men, right? At the time. He was a fierce competitor. He was a prideful man that was as humble as anybody you'll ever met. Which I think was a perfect combination. He took pride in his preparation, in playing through injuries, playing hurt. Uh, he was proud of that. He took defending the rim. I mean, personal. He really did as a player. But he was also as humble as he got. He's the first guy, and I was just thinking about this the other day. He went to the All-Star game, and I never had asked Dominique when I played him there, and I didn't even ask, I wasn't going to ask Isaiah or those guys. I said, Deke, you got to bring me something from the All-Star game. And he brought me back a hat from an NBA All-Star game.
That's awesome.
He he's a Hall of Famer, and that speaks of his talent as a player. I heard Dan with you guys, and I'd said it early on our show, the same thing. I didn't get to personally see Russell other than on clips and stuff like that. And he was phenomenal. But I played with Dennis Rodman, and it was a different style of defense. I mean, he was out more perimeter, but I don't know if I've ever seen. And I played with Tree Rollins, who was a shot blocker like crazy guy too. Never saw anybody as dominant around the rim as Dikembe was, and just a but all that, the Hall of Fame player, he was a better man. And I know people say that when people pass away, and it can be kind of hollow, but it's not hollow for him. I read an article. They built a hospital. His mom died basically for lack of medical care in his country, in the Congo where he grew up. So he's going to build a hospital to save others. The hospital, I think, cost around 29 million, which nowadays you couldn't even sniff that. He donated 15 of it, and they named the hospital after his mom. The article I read, they think that they've treated over 1 million people in that hospital. Now, probably all of them aren't emergencies. Probably all of them aren't life or death, but I guarantee you some were. And so, because of his involvement and caring and philanthropy, whatever, um, there are probably people walking this earth today because of his efforts. That's that. This summer we watched Nigeria play, and I've been talking with Tex with Masai Ujiri a little bit, and he's really been big getting back. And Masai was from Nigeria, but the Kimbe, I'm not sure if there's basketball like it has become in Africa, if not for the Kimbe either. And he's taken a number of trips. I don't know if it was basketball without borders type thing, whatever they called it. But Masai was back, and Dikembe went back with him on a number of trips. But you saw Nigeria. Now they aren't ready to win a gold medal or anything. But I'll tell you what, I don't know if you watched that U.S. and they gave the U.S. everything they could handle in that game. And I mean, they're getting there, right? And they, first of all, they qualified for the Olympics. Um, that's a partial legacy of Dikembe also. So, I think you were the producer of our show back in the day. Remember when Braveheart came out?
Yeah.
And I said, when you watch Braveheart and you get, and my feeling on that movie at the end of it, you realize how historically insignificant that I am in this world. You can't say that about Dikembe. You can't say that about Dikembe.
So that's a good place for me to pick it up for you, because I don't know if you remember the story, but I did tell it on the air the other day. And my first, so I it's like my first week, maybe two, producing for you. Okay. I was in the middle of an internship. I was working for Lou from Littleton. Your producer got upset, and he was a guy that helped me, so I don't want to besmirch his name, but he got upset that he didn't get a Bronco job, the Bronco producer job. So he decided to quit right then and there. And you guys need a producer. And this is how I really got started in radio. And so I go, well, if nothing else, I'll do it, because it was October and I need Christmas money. I just need some extra cash right now. So Don Martin was like, yeah, I'll let you do it, but we're going to still be looking. Just know that. Fine. So you and I are doing a show. Dave's off doing football, and the Hawks are in town. So it must have been November, I guess, at this point, because the NBA didn't start in October like they do now. The Hawks are in town, and you're like, hey, call this hotel. I think it was like Hotel Teatro that I don't even think is there anymore, and ask for Dikembe's room and just see if he'll come on. And I remember I call and I get him, and he picks up the phone. Hello. and I go, hey, Dikembe, Scott Hastings, producer. I'm Andy Lindahl. Can he get you on the radio for a couple of seconds? And he goes, you know what? You tell Scotty I love him. He's my boy. I love him forever, but my tumbo need a nap, so not today. He goes, but you tell Scotty I love him. He hung the phone up. And I didn't even know what to do with that. The only other time that happened to me, because this is back when you could do what we called hotel bingo and find these guys, you told me again, you were like, hey, just see if we can get Larry Bird on. And I remember Larry, because I'm thinking there are a lot of times you'd ask me to do something and I'd be like, this ain't going to happen.
Well, you didn't know no better.
No, I didn't know no better.
That was back before you knew any better.
I didn't. And Larry Bird, of all people, picks his damn phone up. And I don't even know what to say, because I'm already convinced I ain't going to get him, right? I'm already convinced this man ain't answering the phone. Hello, Larry? Yeah. This is Scott Hastings, producer, and I always said your name as quickly as possible so they wouldn't hang up on me, right? I knew they don't care who Andy is. Who are you calling for, right?
Yeah.
And so I go, hey, we'd love to talk to you. You got a minute for David Scott on their show? And he goes, no. And he didn't hang up or anything, but he said no, and then I didn't, I was like, all right, thanks. He goes, yeah, tell Scotty hello. And he hung up on me then. But I didn't know what to say after he said no. I just was like, well, that sucks. I guess I'll talk to you another time. The other one? Oh God. You set up so many great stories because you knew everybody's alias. Remember when you gave me John Elway's alias of a famous actor out at the Super Bowl? And I called down there and I go, can I have so-and-so's room? And the bell attendant, I don't have time for this. This is the busiest time. We got a lot of people in here. If you don't have serious business, I go, sir. Please just see. I go, I know this sounds ridiculous, but I know of a guest. Please look under this name. I'll connect you. I'm sorry. And your guy picked up and your guy came on the show. John picked up and came on the show.
Yeah. You know what? I remember the only time we did aliases was when I played in the NBA finals, and, people were, we played, I remember getting in the Eastern Conference Championship against Chicago. We're in the Chicago hotel. My phone's ringing all afternoon. Well, I ain't playing. And that's before I knew about aliases, right? And people call me, so I go hang up. And I go, dude, I ain't even playing. But I mean, and finally got one guy go, yeah, I know. And he goes, what, are you guys excited? I said, yeah. I ended up having a 5-minute conversation with a guy who just called me to say I sucked for a little bit. We ended up having, I go, where are you at? He goes, oh, man, I'm just across the street from you guys. I'm in the business. I said, well, man, thanks for calling. But listen, I ain't even playing, so you ain't bothering me. I ain't got nothing to do. And he said, but I made like a buddy right there. on that. But my alias when we went to Portland was John Wayne.
Yours?
Yeah.
In Portland.
Yeah.
All right. Why him? Wyatt
because
Earp doesn't do it for you?
Because I used to be able to quote all the John Wayne movies.
All right. All right. Good enough. What? You're more Wayne than Eastwood?
I used to do it, John Wayne. Wah.
You know what I miss? I miss when you guys could take your carts and slam them in there. You guys were such top notch, and I'm serious. This is an intern. I ain't even had nothing to do with this, so I ain't patting my back. But you had the Sledgehammer song. If anytime we got sexy talk, you'd start playing Sledgehammer, or you'd start playing, you know what I mean? Or you guys, but when we had, so for people that don't know, like now, if you hear a sound effect or a movie cut or something, I guess D-Max figured out how to finally play it, but usually it's the producers playing it. You and I don't have screens or we can hit these little sound bites, or who knows, you probably ruin the show. But you guys were so good back in the day. When I first met Scotty in 99, we had what were called carts that looked like 8-tracks, and you could put them in a cart machine, and Scotty had a little spinny thing of carts.
I had a 3-slot one, and then I had a little tree of carts.
Of all the stuff that you liked, and you'd have you had a few like King of the Hill, Bobby, I don't give a damn, or something like that you could just play it anytime you wanted to in the middle of a conversation, and I miss that part of old radio.
What is it, Bobby? Fat kids and donuts don't mix.
Yeah.
Like that.
Anyway, all right. That's probably enough nonsense for tonight. You've done your husbandly duty.
One thing, if we're not going to do it, you excited a little bit about with the Raiders coming in Sunday? They're going to wear the old Crazy D and throwback unis for this one.
Yeah,
Well, it's the last time they won probably was they wore that damn uniform. So
look, man, I've always told people, I love it because it's the uniform of my childhood. So the nostalgia will get me. We didn't win no damn Super Bowls till the Blues went on, is all I'm trying to say. So you know what I mean? That's the championship history right there.
Yeah, there's a lot of highlight films of getting some butt whoopings in those uniforms in Super Bowls.
Oh yeah, don't think little Andy Lindahl wasn't crying after some Super Bowls after a while. And again, if I'm not mistaken, they wore the oranges against the Niners when they got the all-time butt whooping. So, I mean, it's cool, whatever. The worst throwback ever. Here's my problem. You want to know what I'm scared of real quick? I'll tell you, because Nate thinks this stuff's ridiculous. The Broncos remember the old dead donkey, the guy riding the dead donkey one? Logo, that one. Well, in 92 or 93, they wore that one, and the Raiders just put like 90 on them. Dude, it was 93. Charles Dimley couldn't cover Tim Brown to set his life. So I got a little worry about throwbacks against the Raiders. There's some bad karma against that.
Oh, good point. Good point.
Not to ruin everybody's good time, but, hey. You heard Patrick Surtain today. I thought this was pretty bold. This is how you know he's got a new contract. He goes, yeah, I like these the best. That sucks to only wear them twice a year.
Well, let's be honest. The new ones.
They're fine. They're fine. Yeah. They're growing on me. But, win some damn games, they'll grow on me more, right? Win some playoff games, and they'll grow on me more. So,
yeah, a good point.
I just think it's a crime that we've not had orange at home yet. I don't understand that. White is not our home color. So can we please get some orange? So
Well, but you know what? I'll just end it on this. Orange uni is not his hump.
You're damn right. You're right. Saints like to wear them some white, didn't they? Anyway, good night, Bobby.
Say good night, Eileen.